resources, inspiring interviews, business practices, and practical advice to take your art career to the next level. Join Sergio Gomez in today's Artist Next Level and get ready to take control of your career.
Well, hello, my friends. Welcome to the Artist Next Level podcast. I am super happy to be here with you here once again. In this episode, I'm going to share with you the story of Victoria Mitchell, a wonderful story of resilience, a story also of inspiration that you definitely don't want to miss. It's going to be super cool. And before I do that, my friend, I want to tell you about one of the resources that we have inside the Artist Next Level program that I haven't told you about in quite some time. It's actually a resource that we created maybe about 2-3 years ago, and I just recently gave it an upgrade, and it's called the Artist Survival Kit. If you have never downloaded the Artist Survival Kit, well, now you can do it. All you have to do is go to www.theartistnextlevel.com/survival kit. Now, what's inside? Well, it's a PDF that you download with organization and productivity tools for the working artist. So check it out. In this free ebook, you will discover the tools every artist needs to run a successful art career and stay productive. It's something that I put together for you. It's totally free. All you have to do to download it, again, is go to www.theartistnextlevel.com/survival kit, or just go to our website, theartistnextlevel.com, and there, if you scroll all the way to the bottom in the footer section, you will find a quick link to the Artist Survival Kit, Organization and Productivity for the Working Artist. Well, my friend, I want to introduce you to Victoria Mitchell. Victoria is a Canadian-based artist. In her early 20s, creative projects included commission paintings, sketch design planning, and fashion illustration. Then in 1993, she shifted her focus to physical bodywork, which led her to a 22-year career as a registered massage therapist. Well, in recent years, and as a result of conversations with her ill father and the creation of a home art studio, she returned to seriously pursuing her passion in abstract and representational mixed media art. She began showing her paintings again in 2017, and she has not looked back ever since. And today, my friends, I'm super happy to have in the podcast here Victoria Mitchell. Hi, Victoria. How are you today?
Hello, Sergio. Wonderful.
Well, we're super excited to have you here in the podcast today, and you are joining us from Canada, which is pretty awesome.
Yes, Vancouver, BC.
Tell us where you are. So you're in Vancouver?
Yes, on the West Coast. It's a lovely, inspiringly creative place to be.
Wow, that's awesome. Is that where you grew up, or that's where you are at?
Yeah, I was born in Vancouver in 1971 and have lived here my whole life, and lots of travel and around lots of creative people around here too, so it's really inspiring.
That's very cool. Well, Victoria, we're chatting today because just a few days ago, I made a post on my Instagram, and that's how we met, which is one of the reasons I love social media, is because, you know, something that I have talked a lot about here in the podcast about looking at social media, not as a marketing tool necessarily, but as a connection tool, as a way to connect with people, to have conversations, to get to know other artists and other people and collectors and curators and galleries. It all can happen through social media, and that's kind of what brings us here together, because I made a post about sharing. I first shared my story, and then I made another post about I would also wanted to hear other artist stories, and got a rain of stories that came through that post, and yours was one of them, Victoria. And I sent you a message and said, let's share your story here with our friends at the Art Next Level podcast, because I think it's a wonderful story of resilience, starting, you know, your art career later in life, and you know, how it all has come together for you. And I think it will be a wonderful story to share, because I think a lot of times, you know, we see, you know, we as artists, we're on social media, we're all posting, we are all, you know, kind of promoting our work and so on, but everyone has a story, and that's the beautiful thing. Everyone has a story, and sometimes we think that our story, well, might not be so interesting, or might not be so unique because we are living it ourselves, right? But when we have an opportunity to share it, it might resonate with somebody who may be going through something that you had gone through in the past. And, you know, just connecting those dots, making those links, sometimes like just the little things somebody else needs to push forward today to make it into another day and say, I can do this, you know, maybe tomorrow it will be a shift day for me in my, in mindset. And that's why I think sharing our story is so important. So Victoria, we want to share a little bit of your story. So but before we go into kind of like the nitty gritty of your story, tell us a little bit about kind of your growing up. Did you always wanted to become an artist? How was that for you?
Well, when I was very young, I was tutored as a little artist, and
okay.
so I was very fortunate to have some one-on-one instruction from a couple of career artists from a very young age. And I had some pieces submitted to competitions, and I won everything that was submitted.
Wow.
So that was nice as a youth to have that acknowledgement. And and then I kind of abandoned it. I became a registered massage therapist. So I was busy massaging for 22 years and teaching yoga. A lot of studies in kinetics and the body and body movement, and a lot of interest in that, and quietly doing little bits of artwork, but very shyly. I was always very shy about it. So I kind of hid it away, but there were some people who had seen some of my work and they would commission me. So I did a little bit through those years, but not a lot. So that's sort of, then I came to the point which I shared with you briefly before, which I could go into now, or maybe you have some more questions first.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit still. Let's stay a little bit for on your becoming the artist later, right? So you have a great start where creativity is a big part of you, and then at some point that starts to change. What do you think are some of the factors that kind of put like art in the back burner for you? Was it the pressure of job, or professional life? What was it for you?
Well, I was really working very hard physically with massage therapy, doing deep tissue work, and so that was sort of a time to back off on that a little bit. But the real shift for me came when my father became terminally ill, and he was so dear to me, and he was very broke and alone. He was a very isolated fellow, self-imposed and super sweet and lovely to be around, but very unhappy inside and struggling. So he really isolated himself and struggled. So when he became ill with cancer, it was a tough moment, because he called me early in the morning. His vertebra had collapsed from the cancer, and he was in pain. So anyway, rushed him to the hospital and realized I couldn't just abandon him. I needed to bring him into my home. So my husband and I took him in and cared for him for, they had told us he would probably live for about 2.5 months, and he ended up living with us for 2.5 years.
Wow.
We
Amazing.
stretched out his life. He was a very creative man, quietly so. He was a quiet intellect and wrote and read all day and loved political cartoons particularly. But he hid away all his stuff. He didn't let anybody see anything, and I kind of followed suit on that a bit. And while I was caring for him, and I was really his only caregiver, we don't have other family around or anything, so I really had to put aside my life for 2.5 years to be with him. He kept saying he had all his own regrets about not sharing more of himself and his creativity, and he kept saying, you have to let people see your work. You have to share. You have to do it. You have to keep painting and share what you do with others. And so when he passed, I let go of my RMT registration and started diving into my painting, and realized how right he was, that I really had a really strong passion for it. And I had to really face what I adopted a little bit from him, which was the real timid feeling and shyness and self-critical about what would come out of me, so that was really hard in the very beginning, but I realized how quickly there's such lovely people in the creative world and in the arts, and they just embraced everything I did, and I was acknowledged with such warmth with everything I did. All the things I thought people would look at and go, what's that? Well, and with criticism, it was all so positive. So it really brought some courage to my steps of change and being okay to spend time at it and share it.
No, that's amazing. That's so cool that, the words of your dad kind of stay with you and kind of brought you back to the early years where, you had that interest and that was still there, right? That was still in the soul, kind of waiting to be released and to be almost given permission to come out.
It was, I think, really festering in me, and I needed to bring it out. And I could feel it so deeply my whole life, and all those years that I'd abandoned it, it was still very, truly deeply there. And I would sometimes dabble a little bit, and then, I have to get back to my job, and not giving it proper time. And it's been so important too. So I would encourage anybody who's in that sort of situation of needing to, for a period of time, abandon such a thing, to just keep it there in one little way or another, and absorb in it when possible. And it's so great to come to that.
Yes, absolutely, and that's a big key to continue, even if it's on a napkin. But once in a while, just to keep bringing it out over and over, not forgetting that's there. Now let's talk a little bit about that shift, right? The mindset shift first, and also the practical way. So where did you start once you decided, okay, I'm going to pursue this with more seriousness, so in a more professional manner? What were some of the first steps that you took? Did you go back to drawing or painting, or did you set up a studio at home? Tell us some of the practical things behind the scenes. How did you came back to your art?
Well, pretty much as soon as my dad passed, I had a few moments. I got into my little art studio at home and started painting my feelings about it. I realized that my truth with my creativity so much is around my emotion in that deeper place. So a lot of it is just what comes out of me without a plan and just a blank canvas and go. And so I started doing that, which is so therapeutic when you're going through pain, to do that and spend that sort of meditative time. And the time passes so quickly. You're just spending time creating. And then I start to, like Dad said, let people see it. So I was showing some friends, and they wanted to buy my work, and they were encouraging me to submit into some shows and things. And so I started. I submitted to a show, and they took my work, which was very nice to kick off my first stepping out. And then I set up another show soon after, which sold tons of work, which was really nice. Again, just that people embraced what I was doing and wanted to take things home. And from there on, it's just been steadily increasing time in it and with connections. And I also had shied away from any social media forever. I'm not on Facebook. I might be at some point, I don't know, but I just started Instagram last year, and that's been a really unusual new experience for me too. But so just kind of feeling it out, what it's like to kind of reach out a little more with these things, and it's great.
And you mentioned that in 2017 you had your first solo show. Is that correct? Or tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that feeling and in that moment walking into your solo show.
Oh, it was amazing. Again, I was so kind of apprehensive about it. Oh, how's it going to go? Is anyone going to come? And what's it going to be like? Here I'm putting out all my work, and there's going to be people judging and all that sort of stuff on what they see. And it wasn't that way at all. It was really warm, and lots of people showed up and talked about all the work there. There was a lot of great conversations, and it was really wonderful to hear the insights of people and how they absorbed in one thing or another and what they saw, what they felt. And I'm so appreciative for those conversations, and develop as an artist just by talking to people in front of work, whether it's mine or whether it's other artists' work, just to sit with it and converse is just amazing. It's really enriching.
Absolutely. And Victoria, you touched on something really important, which I want to touch up a little bit too. You say, like when you had the opportunity to do the show, those like voices that we hear, right? Said, oh, what if nobody shows up? What if nobody comes? What, the what ifs, right? That it comes through everybody, no matter how successful you are. You may be a very successful artist, and then you have a new body of work that you're getting out in the world, and you always have those doubts. Will the gallery like it? Will the critics like it? So all these voices that we had. So did you have some of those like at the beginning when you decided to kind of pursue your career, like telling what are you doing? Like that's crazy. There's no paycheck on the other end that right away. Did you have some of those mindset blocks that you had to overcome?
Oh, absolutely. I do. I probably always will. I very much so. Those fears of will people acknowledge it? Will they be there? Will I be able to earn from this? That sort of thing. And I'm still feeling all that out. It's a gradual progression, and I don't have expectation around it. I hope that things will carry on as they are and better, but things go as they go, and I'm just taking moment by moment and day by day without trying to worry about what the response might be. I've been really fortunate that it's been so good, surprisingly good, and I just never expected there would be the positive response. But the shows that I've got coming up already, I'm going, oh, is anyone going to be there, or is anyone going to enjoy it, or whatever. That's I'm feeling all that for sure, very much. But it'll be fine.
So, yeah, I'm sure it will be. Now, Victoria, tell us for our friends who do not know the type of work that you do, how would you describe what you're doing right now as an artist?
As said, I was very influenced by body work, with work as a massage therapist and teaching yoga and studies in the body over the years. I did a lot of continued education in fascial work and that sort of thing. So I've a lot of body intricacies come into my work abstractly. So even if I'm painting trees or something, often if you look into the trees, you'll see bodies, that sort of thing. A lot of interconnections between things. And I do realism too, and sometimes commissions that, they want to be or whatever, that's really fun too. I look back on some of the work I did when I was really young. It's very dark, and I guess that's really what was coming out of me then. I see these kind of webs and networks between things in my old work, and I realize I'm still doing that in a way. So even though my work is quite diverse in what I do, if you look for a parallel or what sort of thing do you see, and I've only just realized this more recently, that, there's this sort of webbing connection between things, and within myself and with nature and with everything with everything. There's we're all connected one way or another. So it just sort of seems to come out in what I do with my artwork.
Yeah, and I'm looking at your work as we're speaking, there's also kind of a surreal quality to some of the work, and definitely I think the word that you use, the web, the sort of web and interconnectedness between the work, totally I see it everywhere. So, and it becomes kind of how we are interconnected as human beings within our own body, as a unity, but also within the universe and the expanse of the universe, right? Everything connects from the molecular to the to the biggest star in the universe. So
and that's
it is amazing.
Sorry. that's something I love so much about your work too, Sergio. The way you connect that way with your work is beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, Victoria, I want to say thank you so much for sharing your story. I think it's inspiring because I think in this, podcast, there are many artists who are listening perhaps today, and they may be in that spot where you were, a few years ago, stuck in some job that maybe they like, maybe they don't, but maybe there's still that kind of a artistic, call deep inside that, that's telling them, it's okay to share. It's okay to get it out. It's okay to bring it out to the world. And
please do.
Your story inspires. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. All those shy people, please do bring out your work.
Exactly. Well, Victoria, where can we find you on social media and also on the web?
Yeah. My website is victoriamitchellstudio.com. Instagram at Victoria Mitchell Studio. And please do check out my Instagram. You'll see a picture of my sweet father. If you scroll down to December, you'll see a very sweet picture of him in my snowy garden the year before he passed.
Oh,
so
wow.
it's a nice little picture of him. We're happy to have
Beautiful.
him on. And
awesome.
I guess.
Awesome. And do you have anything that you want to announce? Any upcoming events or things that you would like to share? Mm-hmm.
If anyone is around Vancouver, there's this weekend, there's the grand opening of the Braid Street Studios, which is a large artist warehouse studios. And I don't have a studio there, but I have a wall of work. So there's going to be events all weekend from Friday to Sunday for that, which will be kind of fun. And I've got some other shows coming up. But
and if we cannot be there in person, I'm sure you'll be posting hopefully some videos or something on your Instagram so we can join you on the event as well. That'll be awesome.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you, very dear Sergio. You're a great gift to so many. So I really appreciate what you post and share all the time too.
Well, thank you so much, Victoria. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here, for sharing your story with your friends. Thanks everyone for listening. We hope you have an amazing, amazing day. Thanks, Victoria, for taking us to the next level. And I will see you guys at the next level.
Check out our website at www.theartistnextlevel.com, where you will find our podcast library, learn about our upcoming webinars, find resources relevant to your career, and much more. Thanks for listening to today's podcast, and we'll see you at the next level.